Hello and welcome to another video by Rick Miracle Me. In my series Freemasonry and Satanism. And lordy, is the puzzle coming together. I make this analogy every now and then. But let's say somebody gave you a puzzle in a box. But the label was torn off. And you said, well, what is it? And they say, I don't know what it is. The label's torn off. I bought it at a yard sale. So how many pieces of the puzzle do you have to get connected before you can start to make out an image? 50? 60? The whole border? Half the puzzle? 200 pieces. It's the same way with book reviews. I'm up to 128 on this one. And I would estimate, let's say a puzzle came with 300 pieces. I would say probably 100, or close to it, before you could be sure what the image was. You might get a clue, you might see a tree, you might see some water, you might see part of a house, but you don't know what the whole thing looks like completed. It's the same way with reading books and studying and researching, especially if you're trying to figure out WTH. What the heck is going on in the world? Why have we had bizarre and crazy activities quite intensely for the past couple hundred years, and honestly, for the past couple thousand years? Why? Why mass murders of whole nations of people? American Indians, African continent, South America, Central America, making room for these people who are invading. Russia, 1917, the Bolshevik Revolution. That's the word they use. I would call it more of an attack and an assault, assisted by other secret societies who control world governments. Because even during that Russian Revolution, were the Bolshevik Jewish people, the Zionist illuminated people, money people, banksters, Illuminati, high-level Jewish people, not all Jewish people, and involving other powers and forces of people who are just plain out perverted or greedy, selfish. And who knows what kind of other entities, interdimensional, spiritual being, channeled material, masters, demons, archons, watchers, all these names. What WTH, what the heck is going on? So, I'm up to 128 on this particular book I just finished. Atomic Bomb Secrets. David Dionisi, however you say his name, I'm probably saying it wrong. But remember, the USA dropped 2 nuclear bombs in Japan. And the idea was such an adventure to come up with splitting the atom, making nuclear bombs, apparently was started, they brag about it, that they came up with the idea there, at the Bohemian Grove in California, where it's a special social club for the elites. And apparently they have a gigantic owl they call Moloch at the Bohemian Grove. And they have a fire in the belly at night and screeching and hollering like a Halloween party or an evil witch's movie or something. You've heard that kind of noise. And then they, grown men, people we all know as the leaders of the world, presidents, etc., CEOs, elitist, Kissinger, Reagan, so many more. You can look it up. Alex Jones snuck in there with a cameraman and videotaped it one year. So there's this giant owl, fire in the belly down below, crazy sounds and screaming in the background, and they throw a baby in the fire, calling it the cremation of care. And some voice, like the devil's voice, comes out and recites some sentences or whatever. And then the grown men are dressed in long robes and naked. And apparently, according to the legend or the stories that I've seen on videos and websites, they ship in gay men, women not allowed, for some kind of sexual, homosexual ritual, which plays a big part in all this. So definitely we wouldn't call it a Christian thing to do. Probably not even the Islam people, or the Buddhists, or the Hindus, or American Indians. I don't think anybody's into this insanity. Throwing a baby into a fire under a giant owl named Moloch. Who is Moloch? I went into the Encyclopedia Judaica and I looked up Moloch. About a page and a half of material. So apparently some kind of religious thing where you sacrifice your oldest firstborn or to some kind of being for help with problems. Let's say you just lost a war. Or maybe you want to go fight a war or conquer a people. Get the assistance of these divine beings, these gods, these demons maybe. A lot of people don't want to put two and two together and see, like the title of this series, Freemasonry and Satanism is one in the same. And also with the thousands of other secret societies. The symbols, the snake, reptilian, the all-seeing eye, the T with the circle on top, the divine serpent, the circle means snake. Pictures of a Nibiru-looking sun with wings on it, the Egyptian hieroglyphics, and the monuments all over the world seemingly quite clearly indicate that there were these facilities and buildings before the Great Flood. And from my studies from native tribes all over the world, the old flood, Noah's flood, called many different names all over the world, was recorded. And according to my research, in many places, Ecuador, the Hopi Indians in the United States, over there in Greece, Romania, all over the world, a remnant of the human race were saved. Some beings came along and made big caves or facilities and assisted these people to get in there before the flood happened. Isn't that odd? So that's somehow tied in with the secret societies. Anyways, this guy's story, Atomic Bomb Secrets, again, the idea came up at the Bohemian Grove with these elite club of people who throw a baby into a fire, have satanic rituals, and we've had all kinds of war and anarchy and chaos and revolutions and world wars and 9/11 and false flag events, and even the governmental powers experimenting on the rest of us with drugs and radiations of energies and gases and plagues and vaccines. Got some bizarre characters running the show. And when people get too close at exposing it, these people have weapons at their disposal. Whether it's just up front with an assassin or a created event, all of a sudden you're driving down the highway and this vehicle pulls up next to you and shoves you off the road, and you get in a car wreck or truck wreck and you're dead. They like to make it look like accidents a lot. And then they can do it slowly with microbeams, slipping something in your drink if they know where you're going. And they do, when they find a target, they pay attention to that person's habits, their details. So I guess it's not that hard for these evil people to assassinate good people, which they've done throughout much of the history that I researched. Mr. John Kennedy is a clear example. So anyways, before I start reading a little bit from the book, I thought I'd just make a couple observations, like I usually do, looking at other stuff. One was, I was just downtown, where I live, and in one of the restaurants, the lady was handing out stickers. Now, remember the Obama sticker? The logo with the sun like that and the rays on the top of his head? And the water even on that image? And look at the peace sign and the heart sign on the eyes. And I don't think the peace sign means peace. I've gone over this stuff. So clearly this looks a bit bizarre. They've got all of the people thinking this stuff is cool. I'm not kidding. I recognized it when they came out with those Pokemon chips years ago. I said, and I'm not a genius, but I said, in the future, the young people are going to look like that. And now the young people are older. And the older people are looking like this. What are they doing? Well, one book I came across, and I learned stuff by watching these videos on YouTube, like mine. And I take notes, and then I go on used book sites or regular book sites or stores, whatever I have to do to track down the book if I can find it. And I find the books, and I read them, and I make these videos. I've been reading this one. The Marxist Minstrels, a handbook of communist subversion of music. If it's true what I'm reading here, I'm just going to read a little bit here. These book publishers and these communist organizations with very interesting names too. Fight for Freedom with Uncle Ho, H-O. We are further informed that to kill is often an act of love. Written by Julius Lester. He goes on to say, and I learned from a beautiful, shy young girl who is a guerrilla in South Vietnam. She killed 25 GIs, and I knew when I met her that she knew a lot about love that I haven't experienced yet. But I looked forward to the day when I will place a person in my rifle, squeeze the trigger, hear the explosion, and watch that person fall. You think we got some loons running the show? You think so? We are further informed that to kill is often an act of love. Anyways, this book goes into great detail that the communists took over the American and European and the music industries and were creating subversive music. I haven't read enough of this yet to go into it, But when I started reading it, I mean, I couldn't get past the first page without going, oh my God. We all know about the record albums, the lyrics and the songs, even with Miley Cyrus and Wrecking Ball and many other recent ones lately. What about that song, Waiting on the World to Change? Waiting on the world to change. Waiting on the world to change. You see how they've got people? With the music, the movies, I keep saying this stuff. This is no small thing, I keep saying. This book, I just finished the whole thing. Man alive, all the videos I've been making. I don't want to take back any one of them. Okay. How many videos do I have? Looking at my computer here. 342 videos posted. Some of them are the spraying of chemicals in the sky. But most of them are the book review series, like the Blue Lodge Handbook. I made 12 two-hour videos. So if you don't know what the Freemasons are all about, and you don't want to go read that big thick manual, go watch my videos. Granted, 12 two-hour videos might take you a week. You know, there is pause on your computer. You can even get a bunch of friends over and have a glass of wine, a cold beer, drink coffee, I don't know, have a party. But watch them and discuss it. That's what they don't want you to do. Watch videos like mine and discuss it. Go get the books, get the evidence. And this video is going to be a summation type of video. This book here pretty much vindicated everything I've been saying. Puts it all together. Anyways, back in just to show you how 68, think about that, 68. The beginning of the hippie age, when they were doing this Marxist minstrel music stuff. And also CIA involvement of bringing LSD and drugs into the United States, the hippie movement. Over there in Europe, they were calling it festivals. So this was a plan for the Western society, America, Canada, even some of the other Central, South America, all over the world, Europe. But they make this book here, wrote this book. This stuff all gets sponsored by these occult organizations. This one even says it, I think. Well, I know the author, Paul Ehrlich. Anyways, population control or race to oblivion. 1968. Do you get it? Let's see what it says on the back here. Mankind's inalienable rights. The right to eat well. Well, they've got toxins in lots of our foods. Lots of deceptions. Getting people to believe that some of these vegetable oils are good for you. Canola oil, isn't that really called from something called rapeseed? I guess I couldn't call it rape oil. Nobody would buy it. The right to drink pure water. Well, they put fluoride on that. You can't really get decent pure water anymore. I buy spring water. The right to breathe clean air. It's in this book here. So this author is trying to say, we have these rights, but I think the people who are trying to destroy our world and depopulate the planet, like it says here, are trying to poison everything we're into. Our minds, our food, our water, our air. The right to decent, uncrowded shelter. The world powers organize everybody into the big cities. Get on an airplane and go from one city to another. There's lots of forests left over all over the world. Central America, South America, Canada, heck, Russia. Third of the world on that territory up there. North Pole, South Pole. They're complaining about global warming and the melting of the ice. Well, they have maps from years ago when the North and South Poles weren't frozen over. So apparently that's a vast amount of land and resources. So is it just that technology has advanced and they just don't need people anymore? They don't want people anymore? Certain people. The right to enjoy natural beauty. The right to avoid regimentation. The right to avoid pesticide poisoning. The right to freedom from thermonuclear war. The right to limit families. The right to educate our children. The right to have grandchildren. So you get these elites, this professor of biology, and these universities, and they write about population biology. 1968. Don't believe what they're telling you. There's no looming threat of global warming. There is weather control right now and weather warfare with all the chemicals dumped in the sky and the HARP transmitters. And they're using this new religion, the one that's going to be forced on the world, the religion of Luciferic. Lucifer worship Satan and the Holy Serpent of the Jews. I made videos on these. This is video number 91. Eustace Mullins, a famous author, Murder by Injection. They took over the medical institutions in the late 1800s and 1910, 1920, ridiculing all of the allopathic, holistic healings, people healing with herbs and stuff like that, healing with good food, which is becoming more commonplace right now. They're discovering if you can just get away from the toxified foods and stuff you drink and where you live and the radiations, you can turn your health around. But anyways, apparently it was all intentional with the Rockefellers and other organizations. Eustace Mullins was a famous journalist in Washington, D.C., and he knew a lot of insiders. And he discovered that all this stuff was planned, forcing cities and towns to put fluoride in your water. And why? Well, one reason is it inhibits, it disables your intuitive psychic ability. Closer to God. And they have many organizations, these people. From the Zionist, elite Jewish people, the Freemasons, thousands of these secret societies and cults. Witchcraft, sorcery. Constance Kuby, I made a video on this one here. Beware of the rainbow. Look at the symbols in the center. They're the rainbow colors. The New Age movement and our coming of barbarism. Beware of the rainbow. This is number 40 in my series. I've got so many books and videos I've made. But Canadian Jewish author in Canada, PhD Henry Mackau. So let's say he's Jewish. He's got a PhD. Lives in Canada. And what does he write about? The Illuminati, the cult that hijacked the world. So if Illuminati is the cult that hijacked the world, look at the eye and the star. And Constance Kuby saying there's thousands of organizations all over the world. I showed this book in the last video. I haven't read it yet. It's not really something you read. It's a complete chart, organizational chart of all these societies all over the world that are into this New Age stuff. Yes, Educational Society. I just flipped it open randomly here. Never saw this page in my life. The Last Great Revolution of Consciousness. was the Corpian Revolution, which brought the Middle Ages to an end and ushered in the modern age of reason and technology. So technology is the reason they don't need to so many people on the planet. They don't have jobs for them anymore. Even China recently said, one big corporation with 1.3 billion people in China. If you don't think this is going to cause a problem, requiring some kind of solution, I don't know what to tell you. But they're going to start switching to robots because it's just an annoying thing to hire people who have human problems. Maybe their wife might be having a baby. The child may need to go to the hospital. The husband may break his leg or something. So robots are more efficient. So if they start minimizing jobs in China because of that, they're going to want to find a way to get rid of some of those 1.3 billion people. I suppose if you stirred up a nice little third world war, you would get rid of millions and maybe billion people. So we're going to get with the age of reason and technology. Religion and science split apart. Now they are beginning to come together again. The books are here. This guy wrote this book, Stan Deyo, D-E-Y-O. Here is him and his wife. The Cosmic Conspiracy. I made a video on this. I suggest you go watch it, number 49. He tells all. This guy was a physicist, scientist. He knew about some of the inside things going on. Look in the book. He knows what those symbols mean. He says it all in the book. And they've been working feverishly on how to figure out how our brain works, how to control, mesmerize, mind control, zombify us. A lot of government-sponsored programs into mind reach, psychic research, remote viewing, leaving your body, spying on the enemy, controlling another person. Scientists look at psychic ability. It's all real. You say, well, Rick, they really can't do such a devastating thing like World War III, nuclear holocaust, let loose some kind of plague, or just crash the system and people run around like zombies killing each other for water and food. What are these elites going to do? Underground bases and tunnels. Well, they've been spending our tax dollars by the trillions. This is video number 31 that I made. Building these underground facilities with these machines. All over the world. That reminds me, before the Great Flood, like I said at the beginning of this video, they did assist some of the natives all over the world into underground or in the mountain facilities or high elevated places so that some of the humans wouldn't perish. So they wanted some beings or slaves or workers to survive the Great Flood. Some kind of intelligence was behind all this. And one of my favorite people to watch is David Icke, his videos. I think he gets a lot of good information out there. Even a lot of other popular YouTube personalities, alternate websites, talk radio shows. I think they're contributing to waking up people. But like David Icke's book, this book will change the world. The biggest secrets. Even the city street plans in Washington, D.C. have occult symbols in them. I've been to Washington, D.C. Even on the lamp post, they have that owl symbol. somebody knows an owl. I talked about Moloch in the beginning of this video. This god that they worship, that they sacrifice their firstborn to. It's some kind of ancient religion, and again, I read about it in the heavy Encyclopedia Judaica. It's quite interesting, page and a half. So it's an ancient religion, Moloch, some kind of being, also associated with Ishtar, and some other beings. So get these David Icke books or go watch his videos. I keep tying this stuff together. With the Luciferic satanic worship. This is David Icke's book. And you can see the symbol for the star on his forehead, the goat's head, the women's breast, and the goat's feet. So it's supposed to be androgynous, half male, half female. So it's part of this new age, this transgenderism they keep throwing at us. And all this crazy stuff. It boggles the mind. Another book I read, I made a video on number 17. I encourage people to go watch these things. These videos I made since 2013. Every once in a while I misspeak. But anyways, emerging viruses, AIDS, and Ebola. Your government, my government, the world's governments, secret laboratories, black projects involving CIA, the Illuminati, all these secret societies. They're working overtime. Look at this book. I have other books on these kinds of topics. To have all these viruses, bacteria, plagues, airborne, stuff they can put in food, vaccines. They're attacking us as a society. Weakening and making a lot of people unhealthy. So whatever fortune or money you do make, you have to spend it at the hospital systems, that they have vast hospital systems. And it's an attack. They're like farming we the people of all of our money, just like the old coal miners used to do. They would pay you like $20 a day, but then they would charge you for the oil for your lamp, your shovel, the shack where you live. By the end of the day, you didn't have enough money for a pint of beer. You were as poor as when you started that day. These people who are behind the scenes running things are downright evil, and they don't have any empathy towards we the people. And they're bent on a new age and a new world order. It is satanic, it is Luciferianism. And after, like I said, putting the puzzle together, I put enough pieces of the puzzle together. This is series number 128. And this book vindicates a lot of what you just saw in those few books of the 100+ books I made videos on. And a lot of the books I made videos on, 5 2-hour videos, 7 2-hour videos, 4 2-hour videos. Even Henry Ford, the international Jew, maybe 6 2-hour videos on 4 books. I got to go back and make more videos on that. Mysticism, Helena Blavatsky, I'm looking at my bookcase. The Holy Bible, Invisible Horizons, about UFOs and other kinds of beings, even being seen for the last 1,000, 2,000 years. Even in biblical pictures or stories, they talk about these flying craft. So what are we talking about? Why do these people want to take over and control the world and enslave the rest of the people to create some kind of golden age, but not golden age for us? They want to bring back the old times when they had pharaohs and Caesars and kings, emperors. They think that they have a holy or sacred bloodline. I suspect it's the only one who would do that would be the serpent type, Luciferian types, cast out angels, watchers, demons from the invisible reality, who permeate their hatred and control into this reality. So I'll start reading some of the material from here and see if it doesn't all add up. Putting the pieces of the puzzle together to find out, WTH, what the heck is going on? And again, I'd like to declare that I learn about these books by watching YouTube videos or reading other books or alternate websites, wherever. So when I see people talking about certain books or listen to these authors, and I believe I heard this author several times when I found out about him, I go and buy the book and I read the entire book, as you can see, and then I make a video and talk about it. So I don't want to do an audio book here. I would encourage people to go buy this book. After all that material I showed you, a lot of it's in the book. So part of the story goes, it's pretty simple, that they did not need to nuke Japan. Japan wanted to surrender. But there were insiders for political purposes and sending a message to mankind and creating the threat of the Cold War and, believe it or not, destroying Christianity. One of the nuclear bombs, the target they picked was a strong Christian community in Japan. Christianity was flourishing, and it's the arch enemy of the secret societies, Illuminati and all those cults, the people behind the New Age and the New World Order. So reading all these books and doing all this research, the clues keep popping up. But Christianity is a target, and apparently, according to Aleister Crowley and the Book of the Law, the video I just made, series number 23, even Hinduism, Buddhism, Islam, Christianity, all the religions are the target. FYI. So apparently over there, the Trinity sign, ground zero marker. When you finish this book, you will understand why the above photograph of the Trinity site national landmark and almost all other atomic bomb related monuments communicate secret messages. So the idea for the atomic bomb came up at the Bohemian Grove, where they have those satanic rituals, throwing a baby into a fire under a giant owl god, ancient god they worshipped called Moloch. And so much more symbolism, it's pretty obvious. If you keep studying this stuff, you start to get a clear picture. Alright, so just a little bit of information here. April 20th, 1884, encyclical of Pope Leo VIII explains secret societies serving the kingdom of Satan seek to infiltrate and destroy the Catholic Church. So when I say these things on my videos, and this video, it's not me coming up with these things, although I can use my common sense and observational skills after this much reading and studying, going on 13 years, to tell you what I think is really going on. And it's quite bizarre, granted that, It does involve these ancient beings: Satan, Lucifer, Osiris, Isis, Ra, Thoth, whatever you say that god's name, Ishtar, Moloch, Baal, Baal. Remember, they were trying to put the Arch of Baal in New York and London. And then UNESCO, out of the United Nations, they found out later on, they were putting 1,000 of them all over the world. So some kind of archway, some kind of, the cross or the Catholic Church, looks Christian, or the Islamic temples and churches look like that religion. So they represent that religion. So these satanic Luciferians and ancient gods, Moloch, they have symbols too, and they're all around us. They're telling us. So back in 1884, the Pope explained the secret society serving the kingdom of Satan seek to infiltrate and destroy the Catholic Church. And during the 1920s, and I'm sure before that, but during the 20s, they had congressional hearings here in the United States of America. And the communists testified that they were working to infiltrate the churches, including the Vatican and all the other religious organizations, educational organizations, economic organizations, medical organizations. I just showed you that with Eustace Mullins' books, Injection by Murder, and Leonard Horowitz's book, Ebola and AIDS Created in Labs. There is no doubt we are under attack. So back in 1884, this Pope said this stuff. What's it take for people to believe? But we must remember that mind control is going on. Go down to your city street. One guy was dancing so crazy yesterday at the street festival. It was like if you took a rag doll in your hand and you just started shaking it. That's what he was doing with his body. And everybody around was looking at him and watching and thinking he was berserk. But this is what the young people, and then his girlfriend joined him and she started doing it. And she had her hair dyed pink. They've really messed with the children. And a lot of older people too. Alright, so the Pope's telling us what happened back in 1884 in this book. And also, August 1884, the world leader of Freemasonry issued his response to Pope Leo. This is in August. The Pope issued his declaration in April. In this reply, Masonic Pope Albert Pike acknowledged a state of war with the Catholic Church existed. So Albert Pike, 1880, 1888, just prior to that, he was a general for the war between the North and the South in the United States. He was the highest leader for the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, Inspector General for the whole United States, Southern jurisdiction. So he is acknowledging, according to this book, that there is a state of war with the Catholic Church. The Brotherhood of Death. The symbol, of course, we know is the skull and crossbones. So George Bush, who was a member of the Skull and Crossbones at Harvard, that's a symbol of the Brotherhood of Death. And these guys become the presidents, and quite a few of them out of this organization. The Brotherhood of Death have been USA presidents and world leaders and CEOs and other elites. They belong to these organizations, and they've roped in a lot of people. The atomic bomb program was created and guided by a secret cartel that infiltrated the United States government. So they were members. The idea came up with at the Bohemian Grove. They were members of the Bohemian Grove. and they perform a satanic ritual, throwing a baby in a burning fire under a giant owl named Moloch. It's not hard to put this piece of the puzzle together. The tentacles of this powerful cartel, often organized as secret societies, continues to control key people in government. That's why I do book reviews. I like to read this stuff so you can get it the way I got it. And they control organizations, cities, towns, people all over the world. And if you are approached and you don't go along, you're a world leader or somebody up and coming or an intellectual at a university, and you do not go along or do what they say or join them, they will destroy you. Historic facts showing that the atomic bomb did not save lives. The director of the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum, Martin Hewitt, said, 50 years may not be enough time to prepare the nation to confront such a history. So the people were not ready for the truth back then, not aware that World War I, World War II were orchestrated events to bring about the New Age, New World Order, the Zionist state of Israel, and part of the Illuminati, satanic Luciferian cults. Serpent is their god. The world wasn't ready for it, but the world is getting ready for it. You can see people embracing it. Walking zombies. Take me to your leader. All right. Gar Aprovovitz, made the claim in his 1965 book, Atomic Diplomacy, that the atomic bombs were used for political reasons. You would think they would have tried to target manufacturing facilities, industrial complexes, even the ports where the ships were. No. You'll never believe what the target was. The center of Christianity. A big stone ancient church with deity statues on the top. Sherwin's work explained that the desire by those in power to use the atomic bomb delayed the U.S. acceptance of Japan's surrender. So Japan wanted to surrender earlier, but people in high places in Washington who controlled the president did not want that to happen. And what happened after that, when the war did end, was probably in some cases more horrific than the war itself. In Germany, for example, there was a concentrated effort to kill a lot of people. Rape a lot of women and children. The stories are unbelievable. The stuff I find is unbelievable. That a human being could do that. All the men were evacuated to go to war in Germany from many of the villages and the cities. So when the winning troops went in there from numerous countries, in Russia, they had their way with all the women and children viciously. I mean, it's too much of a story to even say. I mean, I printed out some material and I'll show it, but it's beyond comprehension. "40 guys raping a 15-year-old girl over and over until she's dead. Then they throw her under a tank and squash her like a bug." And that wasn't just once. The truth. Oh my God. Alright, over 60 years, George Weller's censored September 11th, 1945 news article that the atomic bomb killed U.S. prisoners of war in Nagasaki was finally published. So there was a U.S. prison of war facility near that church in that town that got nuked. And a few miles down the way was the port where all the battleships and stuff were. It wasn't about winning the war. They'd already won the war. It was an attack on Christianity to wipe out Christianity in Japan. And it wasn't the first time. Look at 1917, the Bolshevik Revolution, where these agents were sent into Russia, caught the Tsar and his family, probably the whole country off guard, and abducted them, took them to a remote house, put them in the cellar, then brought them up for a photograph, so they were told. And then the men, women, and all the children were all executed. And for the next 10 or 15 years, they say up to 100 million Christians and other good people were murdered in Russia. And the Christian churches were destroyed, but not the Jewish temples. You start to get the point of a theme here. And it gets clearer and clearer the more I go on that there is this battle, cosmic battle, like I just showed you, Stan Deo book, between the good and evil. 1978, new evidence was found in the Truman Library. President Truman's notes and letters to his wife confirmed that the atomic bombs were not needed to end the war. Remember, after the war, they kept everybody in a state of fear, and they were sucking trillions out of our treasury. The Federal Reserve loaning the money from this private institution, the Federal Reserve, to our politicians who were fighting the Cold War. And all that money that was borrowed from these secret societies' banks was still owed back, and the promise to repay that debt was the taxes collected from the peoples and the people's assets and the whole country. National parks, seaports, everything. The Masonic Temple near the White House. Order out of chaos. Right there on the bottom. Look at those rays coming down. The Masonic Temple. You start paying attention to this stuff, you pick up on this stuff. I'm in chapter 1. Just trying to make a point here. Go get this book if you want to learn some information. And you can watch videos, but some of these books are just important. Anyways, fortunately today, people are increasingly waking up to realize that there is a secret plan to establish a one-world government. And it's not going to be no picnic, let me tell you. There won't be any free food or food stamps. You work like a slave and take the abuse like the Hunger Games movie, or you're gone. Swear allegiance to this Luciferian deity, whatever they're going to call them, or have your head beheaded by those 30,000 guillotines, apparently, that were purchased by the U.S. government and shipped all over to the FEMA camps and army bases, etc. This is no joke. Knowledge of this secret plan for a so-called New Age of Reason. We just read that in that list of societies. Is necessary to prevent global totalitarian rule. So knowledge is the only thing that's going to prevent this. Hence I make book reviews. The cartel wants people to be confused, so the name or mask is periodically changed. And I'm aware that whenever one organization gets in the limelight, like Blackwater, the mercenaries working for the Bush administration over there in the Middle East, whatever, they get in hot water, they maybe killed too many people somewhere, innocents. Organizations don't go away. They just change the name. A lot of even social institutions, child care services, some of those in some states. I've noticed over the years who got caught doing some bad things. They didn't go away, they just changed the name. So some of these many names that a lot of us are aware of, the all-seeing eye, Abaddon, Apollyon, Antichrist, these are these deities, and the organizations Money Trust, Moriah, Mystery Forces, Mystery of Inequity, Mystery Religion, New World Order, Olympian, One World, Open Conspiracy, Order of the Snake, Organized Atheism, Pharaoh, Prometheus, Pythagoras, Rhodes, Rothschilds, Round Table, Satanic, Shadow Government, Skull and Bones, Templar, Trilateral, White Club, Windsor, World Government, World Federalist, World Revolution, World State, Military Industrial Complex, Metatron, Merovingian, Magnum Opus, Luciferian, Internationalist, International Bank, Illuminati, Great Work, Global Drug, Globalist, Freemasonry, Frankist, Enoch, Egyptian Mystic, Dragon, Council of Foreign Relation, Committee of 300, Club of Rome, Brotherhood of Death, Bilderberg, Black Nobility, Black Hand, Babylon, Atlantean, Aquarian, and many more. Behind the mask of all of these organizations. And if you go look up most of these organizations, a lot of these Illuminati secret society cults, you'll see the skull and bones. The Brotherhood of Death. The cartel uses blood oath secret societies. They swear with the hand on whatever Bible religion they are that they will not divulge the secrets, or they'll have their throat cut, or their stomachs split wide open, their guts split out on the beach, and their body thrown there to roll in the surf, and other horrific things. Apparently these Brotherhood of Death characters are seriously into torture. Even if they don't want any information from you, apparently they get some kind of religious benefit, sacrificing somebody to a deity, whatever, or just sick mentally, but they like to torture people. They don't want you to die too quick, and they want it to be horrific. They want you to scream. And if it hurts you even more, they want to do it to your family, your children, and other people you know, just to hurt you. What's the opposite of that? Would be God and Jesus and other religious leaders who want to share love and tell everybody to treat each other how you want to be treated. There is a battle going on. Wonder who this guy's, what side he's on. I'm sure somebody's really proud of that artwork. And there's plenty of other symbols out there. I don't have to use that picture. But I was walking down the street. Somebody said, "You want this sticker?" I wasn't going to take it, and then I looked at it and I go, I can use that in my video. This is where you can see the posters on the telephone poles downtown with all the events, concerts, whatever. This is the artwork you see everywhere. Skulls and bones and other creepy stuff. Tons of it. You don't think it affects our minds? The law of attraction, cause and effect. These are natural laws. There has to be an effect for every cause. And there has to be a cause for every effect. Once you set something in motion, something else is going to happen. So when they do this New Age material, something has to happen. And we know they're bent on destroying Christianity and something called normalcy. Went to get a haircut one day and I said, I just want a normal haircut. And the guy apparently was gay and he screamed, "There's no such thing as normal." He freaked me out. I got up out of the chair and left. Went down the street to a different barbershop. He freaked me out. So they're talking about, a revolution in America is imminent. You just got to wonder if somebody doesn't want to bring about that revolution and make 50% of the population crazed zombies. So the other 50% want to defend our country. So somebody's got to win, either the crazed zombies or normal people. Somebody's got to lose. Can't make this stuff up. So the secret societies refer to themselves as the Brotherhood of Death. I think that was the original name for the Skull and Bones, but they changed it later on. Not that it made a big difference. The Skull and Bones, looking at the skull and the bones, gets me the message. I understand what that means. Poison, pirates, death. All right, moving on with my conversation. I just finished this whole book. And I highlighted a lot of stuff. If I didn't think it was important, I wouldn't keep highlighting it. Some books you just have to highlight almost everything. All right, the Brotherhood of Death agenda can be summarized with 4 points. End national sovereignty with a one-world government. And of course we know that excludes Israel. And if we remember the book review I made on that book, The Ultimate World Order, where Robert Williams discovered in a Texas library the book called The Jewish Utopia by Professor Hager, or The Protocols of Zion, and many other books and videos I've already made. So Israel is going to have its nationalism, the elitism. Not everybody can go there. They're not tearing down the fence and allowing everybody in. Contraire, they're killing even more Palestinians, and apparently all the neighboring Middle East countries are being bombed to smithereens and depopulated, sending those people to Europe and America and the rest of the world. So the rest of us will have to be what is going to be the controlled world, the enslaved world, and the place of rulership and the people will be the Zionist Jewish people, and not all Jewish people are a part of this. In the United States, probably most of the Jewish people are not a part of it, and maybe many of them are not even aware of it. If they did a little homework and they found out, they would probably be just as alarmed as anybody else is, the author of this book. And there was some videos or material I was reading this morning and yesterday where a lot of the universities, the higher level positions and other professorships, are controlled by a lot of Jewish people, and they hate non-Jewish people. According to these authors of these blogs I was reading, I was just shocked. Let's see, what was it called here? I'll tell you where it was, the one I was looking at. It's at www.scribd.com, scribd, and Statland folders stalking, Sharon Rose, you can write these keywords down. We are targeted individuals, technological holocaust. I'm looking at the computer right now. And I was reading this, and these people were talking about these elites, these Jewish elites, even controlling our universities, the plight of primary targeted individuals. So a lot of people are targeted, especially if you're a person trying to get the truth out there. The secret criminal part of our own communities, how to protect ourselves. So this stuff's all over the internet. This is at scribed.com, and you can look up Sharon Rose. She's a targeted individual and tells all. And I'm just trying to get here. It has a bunch of documents, Soviet space program, women under the gun, employment rights for victims. So I was reading about how the people who become part of the university system and recognize the truth, there are them and there are us. And if you're not part of them, say you're not a Jewish elitist or part of these other secret cabals, and even a lot of Jewish people, books I've gone over, famous people, Jewish rabbis, leader of the United States Jewish Congress, Rabbi Marvin Antelman, to eliminate the opate. And go on the Yahoo image site and look up Zion. You'll see lots of Jewish people with the black curly hair and the hats and the uniforms on, with big billboards protesting Zionism and this New World Order and New Age. But a lot of other ones literally hate us. That's something, and as Christians, we're not supposed to hate people. Alright, so they want to end national sovereignty with a one world government, but I said excluding them. The elites, just like in the movie Hunger Games, won't be part of the population that's enslaved. Control the issuance of money and thereby control everything money is needed to buy. In 1913, they took over the Federal Reserve in the United States during Christmas holiday. They've crashed the system 8 or more times. Bubbles, recessions, depressions. So they've controlled our happiness and our economic success, where everybody seems to not be paying attention anymore. Then they crash it. Then they let money out there again, low interest rates, let things grow. Then they crash it. Think about that. 1913, 8 times. Ruined families. Who knows how many divorces and children who suffered, and people who committed suicide, and family inheritance is completely lost. Who got all that stuff? Abolish family life, end the institution of marriage. I'm telling you. And eliminate the primary influence of parents in raising their own children, destroy Christianity, and convert humanity to a global Luciferian religion, also known as Illuminism. Go get the book. This isn't me. I read this whole book. And yes, in fact, I think I pretty much had read all this stuff before. But somebody can condense it all into one little book here, and I shouldn't say little book, 300 pages, I think. All right, a little more I'm reading here. All right, continue on. Although the Brotherhood of Death uses many secret societies as fronts to advance their agenda, the inner workings of the most famous front, Freemasonry, are explained in the next chapter. Freemasonry is selected because it is one of the oldest and largest Brotherhood of Death fronts. And yes, a lot of people scream at me and say, Rick, my uncle was a Freemason, etc., etc. Well, if you do any research at all, you know they recruit a lot of people regularly. They have new initiates and new groups. Going through that satanic ritual where you put your hand on the Bible and swear under threat of having your throat cut not to divulge the secrets. And everybody who joined the Freemasons had to do that. Give me that one point. The second point, but they weren't really told the truth, and they were told they would learn some secrets. They were promised some business contacts and things to help them move along with their career, socializing. People thought it was cool. Everybody wants to be part of the gang or this group or that. This lodge, the Eagles, the Mooses, whatever. But what's the real purpose? Well, when they get the people, the groups together, they're looking for the ones who have a tendency to be deviant, who will do crimes, kill, rape, pillage, whatever, who will cooperate, have no scruples. Now that person's going to move up. Everybody else just stays part of the social, local Freemason lodge and the parties and whatever. They'll never know the truth. And then if you move up, you move into the other levels. And these are how they select presidents and other elites. And they have to get things on them. Put them in compromising positions, cheating on their wives, stealing or something. Then they got them. Then they can put them in a position as police chief or in charge of the dog catchers, parking meters, whatever, all the jobs, water plant. You're an insider then. They control the inside guts of the whole political system. And you have to obey the master. That's one of the things you swear on. But a lot of lower level members are not aware of the real intent and purposes, why these lodges are all over the world. Brotherhood Secrets, Chapter 2. No unprejudiced observer can fail to perceive that Freemasonry is the legitimate inheritor of a secret doctrine which has been transmitted from the earliest ages through successive repositories of the ancient and medieval mysteries. And I've made videos on morals and dogma, and I will be making more videos on that. And I can tell you there's a lot of stuff in there about Osiris and Isis and Moloch and Mithras and the Tau, the divine snake. Go watch my videos. A lot of that ancient Egyptian hieroglyphic information, stuff that details some kind of ancient beings mixing DNA to create hybrid creatures, half animal, half human. What really happened in ancient times? Why did God, whoever God is, or whatever they did, however they did it, cause the great flood? Maybe they knew it was going to happen. I suspect they somehow created it because of the polluted DNA of Earth, including the animals and people. If you look at the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics, they got these chained beings. I was watching an Eric von Donovich video yesterday, and he was going over that quite clearly. And he showed them in the Egyptian hieroglyphics, but the bottom would be like a dog and a man's head, and it had a chain around him, and one of the Egyptian rulers was holding him like you would hold your own dog. And then behind him would be another grotesque creature and another Egyptian or whoever holding that being, and whole gigantic murals of this stuff. And strangely enough, it looks like that's what they're doing now, again, with cloning and genetics and modifying everything. There's been crazy creatures washed up on beaches up there in Long Island, where offshore they had a special government laboratory doing this stuff. We got some crazy days coming. You think I am kidding? Go watch the TV programming, the new pilots that are coming out right now. And if you have any common sense at all, if you're watching Monday Night Gotham or Lucifer or any of these new programs, and you see the advertisements for these other pilots that are coming up, there was one there with the black lady who was apparently the leader of some kind of mafia group and relentlessly would kill anybody. And the blood and gore of these organizations by these groups, it's intentional. The Brotherhood of Death is busy. That's my conclusion. The highest level in Freemasonry is kept secret to all but the most elite Masons. So like I said before, not me saying this, it says it in the books too by well-established authors that the high-level Masons know what's really going on. The hidden elite level is the Palladium level, P-A-L-L-I-D-I-U-M level. The Sphinx guarding Brotherhood's secrets. So here's a Brotherhood lodge with the Sphinx out front. And the word Paladin is right here. And I've shown those books I have published by the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. The New Age magazine. I've shown them and I made videos on them. And they have the Sphinxes on the front of the magazines. And there's a lot of stuff in there about anti-Christian schools and all that. Alright, moving on here. We're only up to page 8. Can you imagine how much is in this book? Alright, the Palladium is a continuation of an ancient secret society, Egyptian hieroglyphics. Some kind of beings who were creating hybrid human-animal monsters. Even all over, even in Mexico or islands off of South America. You have the pyramids and the statues or hieroglyphics in stone, etched in stone, all these symbols. So these entities, whoever they were, have been around for quite a while, and they are very dominant over mankind, and apparently can do some very grotesque things to humans, and have some evil things planned. So Paladin, and Albert Pike, the leader of the Freemasons, was one of the creators of that society in America. I think it was initiated in Italy. Known as the Brotherhood of Death or the Order of the Snake. You get it? The serpent? Why they hate Christianity? Why they had to crucify Jesus? Why they had to release a nuclear bomb in Nagasaki, the center of Christianity in Japan? Why they had to create the hippie movement, the festival movement in Europe, destroy healthy, young, decent men and women of America, and get them hooked on drugs and create economic depression, bring them music intentionally to mess with their minds. This book tells all back then. Insiders into the record company, some of them knew. They knew where the money was coming from. They knew what the lyrics were saying. Listen to Katy Perry songs, or that Allende Grande lady with the bombing in London, whatever her name is. Go listen to this stuff. The lyrics. Like I said, the song, Waiting on the World to Change, and everybody's humming it to themselves or singing it to them. It becomes a programmed thing. Waiting on the world to change. You get it? They're controlling everything. I've shown you the books. They're studying the mind. They have the technology. They went from analog TV to digital TV, flat screens, mesmerism, flicker rates, messages you can't see, things you can't hear, the ringing in your ears, the microwaves, the stuff that's being sprayed in the skies, the heavy metals, the stuff that's in the foods. Some of these Illuminati families own the breakfast cereal companies that makes the breakfast cereals for our kids and other foods. Who knows in the stories out there what they put in some of the hamburger meats and other stuff. You can't trust these people. Alright, page 8. A little known fact is that almost all U.S. presidents have been members of Freemasonry or another affiliated Brotherhood of Death secret society. I've gone over that. That's old news. Fritz Springmeier, Bloodlines of the Illuminati. So many books I've gone over on this stuff since 2013. And now it's June 17th, 2017. September will be my 4th year of making these videos. I started my reading and research in 2005 when I had one of those big 0 birthdays. And I went down to Costa Rica, Jaco Beach, one of the best surfing places around. And a bunch of other people. I was the only American sitting at the tiki bar drinking a Presidente beer. It's the name of the beer down there. And they said they felt sorry for we Americans. And they proceeded to tell me a lot of things. I didn't believe them. They're crazy. When I flew back to the United States into Miami, for the first time I looked up at the sky, and they had told me about that, it looked like a nuclear war was underway. There were so many long white lines, and lines being created right before my eyes. And I drove up the coast to Melbourne, went back to my house, got on my computer, started writing some of this stuff down, doing research. About 2 weeks later, I just got angry. I could not believe it. WTH. And I drove over to Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, one of those big stores, and went into the particular shelving area where this stuff was supposed to be. And there were the books. And I pulled them off the shelf and I looked in there, and it dawned on me. I said, man, this stuff is all true. They are bent on destroying the world the way that we know it. And not for the better. Hunger Games movie. Think of it. They're telling us. All right, back to the book. All right. It says here, the following list shows recent U.S. presidents and their participation in Freemasonry and other Brotherhood of Death, secret society fronts, which are explained in the next chapter. So you got the Skull and Bones, the Council of Foreign Relations. This author's smarter than he's published a lot of books. I went through some of his references in the back. You're not even going to believe this. 50 pages of references, books this guy read. I could do a book review just on his references. I probably will. I could sit there for 2 hours and share these references with you. Of course, you could just get the book. But he read all these books, and he gets sentences and paragraphs and names and dates. 50-something pages of endnotes. Says endnotes on the top. References. So whenever you're reading a fact in his book, of course, they have little tiny numbers next to that fact, which is called a citation. And you go to the back of the book, like where my finger is, and there's a little number called 48 right there. That's a citation reference, and it tells you that was Manly P. Hall, The Phoenix, an illustrated review of occultism and philosophy. Isn't this the stuff I've been talking about? Remember The Phoenix, that song? American Idol, where they have a singing contest. Well, in Europe, it's called Eurovision, not American Idol. And the winner was Conchita Wurst, with a head like Jesus and the body like a silky dress on a woman. And the name was Conchita Wurst. Wurst is a sausage. Conchita means a female part. You know what it means. And singing the song, this Conchita Wurst, with a head like Jesus and the body of a silky woman in a dress, the Phoenix Rising, which has the words, "You can't stop us." Does anybody not think all this stuff is intentional? "50 pages or more of endnotes, citation numbers, and all those books. I've been going over this for a couple days, reading this stuff, just the endnotes. I said, man, I could make a video just reading the endnotes. People need to know this stuff. So, the Skull and Bones, Brotherhood of Death Organizations, Council of Foreign Relations, these people who are controlling our politicians, who are controlling the politics all over the world, bringing us 9/11, all these world wars, the destruction of all the countries in the Middle East, where apparently all those hieroglyphics come from on the pyramids and other monuments all over the Middle East, and depopulating the area. So I suppose they probably have a plan for all that property. And there are some maps of Greater Israel, and I've went over the book The Jewish Utopia and the Protocols of Zion and other books like Bloody Zion and so many others that tell the story that there are these elitist people that think that they're some kind of divine people, special people from some special God. And the rest of us are soulless beasts to be destroyed or used, enslaved. Apparently they think that's why we were created. Go look up what Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said in Fink's Bar. I'm not even going to tell you. If you don't want to go look it up, maybe people deserve whatever happens to them if they don't want to go look up stuff and see for themselves. Benjamin Netanyahu, Fink's Bar. Prime Minister Sharon, who said, don't worry about the USA, we control the USA. Go look these things up. Or get that golden fringe off the USA flag. That means you're in martial law. When you watch the president speak, the flag behind him when Obama was speaking and Bush was speaking, there's a gold fringe around it. That's maritime law. That's martial law. I haven't noticed it with President Donald Trump yet, but I haven't seen any of his speeches or paid attention. All right, some of the presidents that were members of one of these different groups, Bilderberg Group, Trilateral Commission, Bohemian Grove, we talked about that. They throw a baby in the fire. Cremation of Care. So Herbert Hoover was a CFR, Council of Foreign Relations, Bohemian Grove, where they came up with the idea for the nuclear bomb. Franklin D. Roosevelt, and I know a lot of these people have been working in the secret with the Zionist, Illuminati, high-level, aristocratic Jewish types. Not all Jewish people. Just like not all Freemasons are aware of the high-level Freemasonry programs going on. They just do what they're told, and they swore on a Bible they would obey the master. And all these people belong to these secret society, these presidents who swore on a Bible to obey the master. They're not the master. That's something to think about. These presidents have to obey the master. And of course we know, like President John Kennedy, if you don't obey the elites and the master, you get assassinated. Harry Truman, Freemasonry. Dwight Eisenhower, Council of Foreign Relations, Bohemian Grove. Remember, they dress in long robes naked and bring in gay men for homosexual sex. Dwight Eisenhower was there, Herbert Hoover, Richard Nixon. And Richard Nixon, you can go watch videos. He said it's the, I'm not going to use the word God and darn in the same sentence, but he said it's the darndest, faggiest place he's ever seen. Richard Nixon says that. It's on tape. So I'm not making this stuff up. Who else went to the Bohemian Grove? Ronald Reagan. I wonder if he dressed up in a long robe naked with some homosexuals to have a satanic rituals and watched the bonfire while they threw the baby in there. George Bush. Clinton is a Bilderberger, Trilateral, CFR. Barack Obama was Council of Foreign Relations, Bilderberger's insider. And even George Washington is wearing the Masonic apron. I don't know if we'll make it to page 20. Just an interesting conversation. Alright, so President Harry Truman was a 33 president of the United States when the atomic bombs were used against Japan. So remember, these people have to obey. They went up to the higher levels of Freemasonry, so high you can even be the president, because they do obey. One of the best kept atomic secrets is that the top government and military positions responsible for the use of the atomic bomb were dominated by the Freemasons. All right, and this is this author. He's a smart guy here. He's naming plenty of these people. Harry Truman, General Hap Arnold, Vice President Henry Wallace, General Curtis LeMay, President Franklin Roosevelt, General MacArthur. All these men were Freemasons serving the Brotherhood of Death. People that a lot of people think are heroes. Devil worshippers, Brotherhood of Death, Luciferian, Satanism, pedophilia, homosexuality, perversion, thieves, liars, murderers, bent on destroying we the people. The influence of Freemasonry in the United States was verified by the 110th Congress House Resolution number 33. The resolution recognized the thousands of Freemasons in every state and notes the majority of the Founding Fathers and signers of the Constitution were Freemasons. The resolution also confirms that Freemasonry long lineage extends back to before the nation's founding. Freemasonry is a religion. Freemason Albert Pike, one of the great leaders for the Freemasons. Manly Hall, another one of their leaders, one of their intellectuals, are crystal clear that Masonry is not just a religion, but the religion. New Age, New World Order. And this would be the same religion, I suspect, as the Zionist, Kabbalistic Jewish people. And not all Jewish people. A lot of them are fighting the truth. Even in Israel, they got people protesting, stop killing the Palestinian people. 9/11 was meant to move forward with that murdering and destruction of all the Middle East countries. Those Arab peoples are not all evil. Heck, I would venture to guess that 50% of the people in the world today can trace their lineage, their genealogy back to the Middle East. It's the cradle of civilization. People up there in England and Germany didn't pop out of nowhere. They came from somewhere. And throughout the history, people have migrated. Those people aren't inherently evil. Look at that book review I went over, Germany Must Perish. So they said every single German citizen, men, women, and children, need to be annihilated. Eliminated their DNA from the planet Earth. In China, with Mao, hundreds of millions of Oriental people murdered. Russia, 100 million Christians and other good people murdered. American Indians, other people all over the world. And the citizens of the world, we the people, passively sit by and don't think it's not going to happen to us. World War III apparently is coming. And we all have to die and wind up on the other side, the invisible reality, St. Peter's gates, whatever religion you are, however you want to think about it. And we're going to be called for our actions. Did we sit by and let other people get murdered and all their land and resources stolen? Even all the good Jews that were rounded up and put in those camps that were anti-Zionist, many of them I believe, they were fleeced of all their gold and silver. And those that would cooperate and selected got on ships and were shipped over to Israel. And then, of course, their children are being fed the propaganda. And they think that they are elitist And they hate the rest of the goy or Gentiles. To such a degree, they're vicious about their hatred. But they've been taught that. Just like the people that are growing up today are taught something different. Peace, love, tear down the wall. Not knowing what they're doing. They know not what they're doing. They're being beguiled and zombified, and they don't know it. A lot of people are awake, though. They're angry at the sky, spraying of chemicals in the sky, and a lot of things going on. A lot of people are awake. I'm surprised. Some young people, 22 years old, 23, will just start spitting it off, and I'm saying they must be watching some YouTube videos or something, because young people are naturally curious. But a lot of them get sucked into this hopelessness, and they see it, and they realize there's nothing they can do, and they wind up on drugs or living 4 or 5 people to a house with no real plans for a future, a family, or anything. Something wrong with that picture. And I believe it's all intentional. And I've been going over the Encyclopedia Judaica. I got all these, 16 of them. Throw a few of these in the back of the truck if I have to drive on ice and snow to weigh it down. Pretty heavy. And I looked at that Eric von Donovich video. He's pretty good. He wrote the Gold of the Gods. I made that video. You can go watch Eric von Donovich, my videos I made, or many others on YouTube. And he's pointing out that back then, before the Great Flood, when they made these big monuments, they were into this genetic manipulation, creating all kinds of horrific beasts. Nothing has changed. They want to do it again. Freemasonry is a religion. Freemasons, Albert Pike and Manly Hall, are crystal clear that Masonry is not a religion, but the religion. So it's not me saying this. These leaders of Freemasonry are saying it is the religion. I've gone over the Morals and Dogma, the big thick book, the Bible for the Freemasons. Isis and Horus and Osiris. Isis and Osiris were married. They had a son named Horus, representative as that deity with a bird's head or the all-seeing eye on the US dollar bill above the pyramid. Get it? Hall explains the superficial Mason is likely to answer in the negative when asked if Freemasonry is a religion. Pike, Hall, and other Freemasons explain, so they're saying superficial, so the low-level Freemasons will act in the negative. And Manly Hall declares that, not Rick Miracle. I mean, I know it's true, but some people will get defensive about my uncle or my father or my brother. But right now, this particular leader is saying that they are, these are superficial Masons who would deny it because they don't know. So the members, most of them are lied to because they knew the God of Masonry. Excuse me. If they knew the God of Masonry were not the Abrahamic God, most members would reject Freemasonry. So if they knew it was Lucifer, of course most people who join the Masonic Lodge in their downtown area would not join. And William Schnobel, I made a video on his book, Masonry. He said when he did a talk before a group of Masons that half of them went and turned in resignations at the lodge when they found out. I've made that book review, number 117. You can look it up, series 117. The outer Masonic doctrine is extremely clever as it enables most members to believe Freemasonry is a charitable organization. And the Black Marble Brotherhood of Death Altar. Black Marble Brotherhood of Death Altar. jumps out at me because the United Nations Meditation Room, which has a lot of occult symbols in it, has a black marble altar. Oh my. The United Nations Meditation Room has the black marble Brotherhood of Death altar in it also. Who would have thunk of that? We know they control everything. Craftsmen working with stone in the Middle Ages were operative art masons. Operative art masonry was hijacked by the Luciferians and the Satanists who wished to conceal their efforts to destroy Christianity. And they've infiltrated the Christian organizations, even the Vatican, I believe, and everything else all over the world, getting ready for something huge. How will people behave when the system collapses, if it collapses? Will they be civil and support each other? How will they behave? What are the TV programming shows telling us? Again, I repeat, this is the author on the bottom here. Go buy the book. I'm up to page 13. And that's something I want to finish on this book before it's over. But I'm going to continue reading here just a couple minutes more, and then I'll get to that. Probably the premise of this book, so we should discuss it. The title of the book is Atomic Bomb Secrets. So what is the atomic bomb secret? Blood oaths. Every Freemason is required to make a blood oath called a solemn obligation. To protect the organization's secrets. If secret societies were dealing truthfully, there would be no need for secrecy or threats of having your throat cut if you disclose the secrets and you're supposed to obey the master. You swear on the Bible of that. It's no small thing. Secret passwords. Masonic blood oaths violate all major religions. For example, Christianity teaches a person is to never give permission to be tortured or killed. As Freemasons ascend to higher levels, the methods in which they agree to be tortured, killed increases. So the higher level you go up, 10th degree, 30th degree, the description of how you are to be killed if you don't keep everything secret is more horrific. I've read some of those. I made 12 two-hour videos on the Blue Lodge Handbook. And I didn't make 12 two-hour videos because I enjoy just sitting there reading from a thick Blue Lodge thing. I just thought everybody can't get their hands on a Blue Lodge Handbook, for one. And two, the information is so important, it needed to be told. People need to go see my series. Number 61 is the series number. I have all my books over there on a 3-tier, 2-wide bookcase. It's completely filled up 2 complete bookcases of the 127 books. So 61 is the Blue Lodge Handbook, Freemasonry and Satanism. And if you go look on my website, rickmiracle.com, on the left-hand side towards the top, it says cheat sheet, says a list of all the videos published. And you can cut and paste and make one out so you can have a checklist what you want to watch. And then when you do watch my videos and you see me showing books and other authors, write their names down, go watch their videos. David Icke, for example. And then on the right-hand side, should you want to, and it would be helpful, is the donate button, PayPal. And when it says what item you're selecting, just type in the word donate and then how much money you would put towards the cause of me getting these books and trying to get out there and maybe move forward with this going more public with my program. I'd like to probably do some lectures or shows where I can speak and have people talk, go back and forth. Get more people involved. And I love the comments that people leave in my comment section, and I respond to a lot of people, and a lot of the information that you people who have commented on my video, I've gone and researched what you suggested I look at, and I've made videos on that stuff, or I've included that material in my videos. So it is a teamwork thing. We, the people, all of us need to wake up. Our world is being manipulated. All right, back to the book. The words underline, "In case I lose this volume, I agree to pay the penalty imposed," literally mean that a person confirms he may suffer the death penalty if he misplaces the book. So you sign something as a Freemason. That you're going to be killed if you lose your book. So it wasn't that long ago that you probably couldn't have made 12 two-hour videos on the Blue Lodge Handbook. You would have been targeted. But now with the death estates, a lot of these older guys have died. And whether it's in Boston or Detroit, if you know how that works, somebody comes and buys all the contents of the house in an estate sale. Usually it's big auctioneers or something. And then the books wind up in these used book sites, stores all over the country. So they never intended for these books to get out into the public domain. But by the way the system has evolved, it is getting in the public domain. And you find there's a lot of people are finding some very interesting books, just like I have. The Freemasonry Bible that I have, my first video I made, series number 1. Page 15. The most tightly controlled secret society documents use gematria, which is the Assyro-Babylonian system of assigning numerical values to words. So a lot of people are aware. They say it's even in the Bible and many other poems and books. But there's code in there for them. We're not supposed to be able to recognize the code. Alright, so in Freemasonry, the name Jesus Christ is not allowed to be spoken or written in the Masonic Lodge. If spoken or written, Orpheus, which is in Greek is this funny symbol, O-P-E-I-Z, is one name that could be used in lieu of Jesus Christ. So if they have to mention Jesus Christ, they'll use Orpheus, and the symbol looks like this here in the book. To equate Jesus to Orpheus is blasphemous, which is a key Masonic objective. They're messing with people's minds. Elite Freemasons would then use the Agrippa Gematria Code, of which the number 1275, or that Orpheus symbol I just showed you, communicates a false meaning of Orpheus and a correct meaning of Jesus Christ. So I've done a lot of numerology checking and gematria, and you know, like A is 6, B is 2 times 6, 12, C is 3 times 6, 18, D is the fourth letter, 4 times 6 is 24. So if you take a name like Kissinger and you run it through the numerology calculator, it does come up to 666. Crowley changed the spelling of his name, Aleister Crowley, the evilest man alive, so that it would equal 666. Computer equals 666. Monsanto equals 666. Eric Schmidt, leader of Google, is 666. And so many words. Go look it up, numerology. And they even have a long list there. And you'll be shocked. Vieira chip, where they're playing on microchip and everybody, equals 666. Santa Claus is 666. All right, and of course that all involves the Kabbalah. We're getting to that next. These are the things I've been making videos on. The next two pictures show the Kabbalah book warning to safeguard the book or pay the death penalty. So the Kabbalah book gives you a death penalty for losing the book. The Freemasonic Lodge members' books gives you the death penalty for losing the book. You think there's a connection? The Brotherhood of Death, the Kabbalah, the Freemasons, the Illuminati, the Zionists, Jewish Utopia, New Age, New World Order, Bohemian Grove, Moloch, Horus, Isis, Ra, channeled material from some kind of deities, UFO aliens, Project Bluebeam, big holographic images in the sky, some kind of deception they're talking about doing, making everybody believe an image of Jesus Christ is in the sky, is going to talk to you. And then his image will change to Buddha or Muhammad. And then the image may say, we are all one. Remember, one of the hallmarks of Satan and his nicknames, it's called the Deceiver. So, which is communicating using Hebrew letters and secret society symbolism. And of course, in the Freemasonic lodges, the Blue Lodge Handbook number 61 in my series, if you go watch those videos, they use symbolism from Jerusalem and King Solomon's temple and the hieroglyphics in Egypt over and over and over and over. There's no doubt there's a connection. Alright, so the Kabbalah inside front cover and title page. Esoteric book for Scottish Rite use only. So here you go. The Scottish Rite of Freemasonry is using the Morals and Dogma, a book that includes a death penalty warning, esoteric book, witchcraft, to be returned upon withdrawal or death of the recipient. The warning shown opposite Albert Pike's picture on the next page is very serious. I've gone over this book. I'm going to go over it again. You can go on used book sites. I go to abebooks.com. You might be able to pick up Morals and Dogma for like $25. I've got two of them. So I'm going to stop reading there and go to the back of this book and get into a topic. I'm going to go over it lightly. I only got 15 minutes. But I'm going to tell you a story that you just probably won't believe. But that's the way it is. You can take notes and do your own homework. You can go buy the book and read it. Monuments, this is called Appendix A, Seeing the Truth. Monuments that help us remember the evil inflicted by the atomic bombs can take on a new meaning when you know the truth. Any visitor or citizen of Japan can see that the occult symbols in Hiroshima and Nagasaki are numerous. And we can see, like in the United States, on the telephone poles when you're walking down the city streets in Washington, D.C., it has a picture of an owl, and the streets, if you look at a map, are designed like an owl. And they even kind of make a fun of it, I guess, hiding something in plain sight. And it shows you the streets and the name of the streets, but it's shaped like an owl, no mistaking it. It's in color, and the entrances to the subway and all that. So my point is, even in every downtown city square is an obelisk, the phallic symbol, part of the Illuminati, the satanic Lucifer cult, Isis, Horus, and Osiris. Apparently Osiris's body was cut into 17 pieces, and 16 were found except for one piece. Guess which piece that was? Well, it's represented by the obelisk in your downtown square, the phallic religion. ISIS went all over the world trying to find his parts to put him back together. Mythology stories. The Nagasaki Peace Park statue unveiled on April 1, Fool's Day. Think about this stuff here. You can't make this stuff up. 1955 has an alarming occult meaning. So you put up a peace statue in Nagasaki, where they exploded the nuclear bomb, on April Fool's Day. You don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to see the insult this is. The unveiling of this abomination was unfortunately no April Fool's Day joke, practical joke. Since 1955, millions of people have unknowingly bowed in worship, prayer before the Brotherhood of Death symbol for their God. Sadly, millions of people who bow down before the statue in prayer do so not knowing the true meaning of the statue. So the Nagasaki peace finger in the right hand points to where the atomic bomb detonated. And if you go look up the George Washington monument, not the obelisk, but the statue of him sitting in a big chair, he's doing this, pointing up and pointing down, the as above, so below. Look at the statue. The Shiva-like blue god statue is a representation of the Brotherhood of Death God. Shiva-like God. Remember, they put Shiva, the big projection, on the Empire State Building last year. And that's the goddess of destruction. And then they put a goat on the Hoover Dam, said it was the largest projection ever, left it there for days. And the goat, of course, is the symbol for the devil. You think they're telling us something? The left hand directs the force, energy, the concept, and the Brotherhood of Death religion. At Urakami Cathedral. The true message of the statue is the God of Brotherhood has used the force to destroy the center of Christianity in Japan. Look between the guy's legs. Is that a phallic? Is that just grotesque? Can't make this stuff up. Get the book. I've only went up to page 15. We're at page 193. I skipped all of this. Maybe I'll go back and make another video. But I wanted to get to this portion here. Why they chose Nagasaki to release a nuclear bomb. And not a couple miles down at the port. Or a couple miles over at the industrial complex. But the center of Christianity. Peace Park now. The secret meaning of the peace statue is not peaceful. The statue's right foot was distorted so that from the left and rear vantage point, a vulgar Shiva lingram statement to the unilluminated in front of the statue is expressed. You can see it for yourself there. You think that was an accident? Just like George Washington's and many other as above, so below evil deities. Sculptor Sibo Katamura and other artists working in the years during and immediately after the Allied occupation often became successful when the art they created served the interests of the Brotherhood of Death. In Shiva images, often the god is blue, long hair is present, a crescent shape is above the right eye, the shoulders or arm is wrapped by a snake, a religious talaka, that's that little dot on the forehead, mark is on the forehead, and the force power can be delivered by a hand or a pitchfork. So this author has done his research. I believe he is telling the truth here. He's not the only one who's discovered these occult meanings and why they nuked Nagasaki, a civilian population, and the center for Christianity, which was thriving and growing in Japan. A typical representation of Shiva and frontal view of the peace statue. So here's Shiva, and here's the peace statue. The Peace Park statue sits above a reflecting pool between the Phoenix Wings fountain. Here we go with the Phoenix Wings. I've talked about the Phoenix. Remember Eurovision, the singing contest in Europe? The winner was Conchita Wurst. We know that the Wurst is a sausage, and we just saw the sausage in this photo of this statue of this guy. And they sing the song The Phoenix Rising, which has the words, "You can't stop us." And they built this statue where they exploded the nuclear bomb in a Christian center instead of a military-industrial site or bombing site selected. And there was a lot of politics involved in Washington, D.C., if you go by this book. It was intentional. It was a message from the Satanists, the Luciferic, these Egyptian deities, this religion, though one religion, according to these elites, that's going to rule the world. Christianity needs to be snuffed out. And it also says in the Book of the Law, Aleister Crowley's book, and that commandment is this, do as thou wilt. And the second law is referred to number 1, do as thou wilt, shall be the only law. And it says in that book, that video I made, series 23, that they want to destroy the Islamic religion, the Christian religion, the Hindu religion, and the Buddhist religion, and the other ones. So I may be a Christian protecting my own, but if you read Aleister Crowley, the evilest man alive, who changed the spelling of his name to be 666, who bragged about killing children and sacrifices and sex with children. You see the common denominator here? Pizzagate, spirit cooking, human trafficking, 911, Oklahoma City bombing. And I've got many more books in my collection with all this conspiracy theory research. You know, it's almost, if it weren't so that it was true, it's almost to the point where I already know what the book is going to say. The Peace Park statue sits above the reflecting pool and between the Phoenix Wings fountain. So we know the Phoenix is involved here. We know what that means. Eurovision. And the Phoenix is the bird that burns in ashes so it can rise again. Just like a civilization gets burnt up and destroyed so it can rise again. Just like the Noah's great flood wiped out civilization so it can rise again. They got no qualms about destroying civilization. Matter of fact, their name is the Brotherhood of Death. So this Peace Park statue, you think it's just this guy's imagination? Listen to this. The following close-up of the photograph shows the crescent-shaped hair above the right eye and the talaka mark on the forehead of the peace statue. So he, just like Shiva, see the dot on the forehead and the crescent moon? Look at this. It's got the crescent hair design and the dot on his forehead. So somebody picked up on this stuff. In a bizarre twist of history, J. Robert Oppenheimer stated that while watching the first atomic detonation, he was reminded of a line from the Bhagavad Gita of Hindu scripture. Oppenheimer's, "Now I am become death. Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds," statement correctly reveals the identity of the Peace Park statue. Another obvious Brotherhood of Death occult symbol is the Nagasaki Peace Park Fountain, or Phoenix Wings Fountain. We know what the phoenix means. We've gone over that. When the sun is low on the horizon, the fountain's water pyramid creates an eye inside the pyramid. The wings of the phoenix are represented by water that is shaped as two wings. The fountain serves to frame the Peace Park statue by placing the god in the phoenix. So go to your downtown area, look at some of those posters, the events planned, the way people dress, the tattoos, the TV programming, the movies, and see if you don't see what I see. This Brotherhood of Death, this new age, this new world order, is coming at us like a freight train. Let's say the engineer fell out of the cab. There's nobody in the cab to stop it. The brakes don't work. Nobody's there to step on the brakes. That freight train is coming into the city. And it's going to crash and all hell's going to break loose. That's just an analogy or a metaphor for what it looks like, what's going to happen with this new age, new world order, all the stuff they're doing. The relentless attack on Syria till it falls. The planned attacks on Iran, so it seems. The incitement and troubles being created by the media for President Donald Trump, between the United States and Russia, between the United States and China. Terrorism, moving all these Arabs into the United States, Canada, Europe. Those people are angry. All that politics, all those press releases. We're being deceived. We're being beguiled. We're being mind controlled. We're being attacked physically, mentally. This is series number 128. Thank you for watching my video, Brick Miracle Reporting.